All right, 3, 2, 1, we're recording. Is everything filming?
Yeah.
All right. Big news today. We're on episode 53, first podcast of the new year here. We have a freaking TV now. See that thing? Hell yeah. And we figured out also how to record the TV onto here, which is extremely exciting, which means that we're going to be able to do all sorts of real cool reaction videos.
Yeah.
Pumped. What do you think?
Or should we call this season 2, episode 1?
Ooh, season 2, episode 1. No, we're just going to keep going with the numbers, but I do like the vibe on that.
All right, fine. I figured since we have new lighting now.
In addition to that, we have Paige Farrow here, a special guest. She's a vlogger now. I don't know if everybody knows or not, but she is officially a vlogger. She no longer takes photos. She no longer is a media manager. She's a fucking vlogger now, meaning all she does is films everything. And we're coming out with these freaking dog vlogs. You guys see those, man? They've been sick. See, here's the thing that this throws me off, right? When you have 2 monitors and you got to switch the little thingamajig back and forth between the 2 of them.
Yeah.
You know, you hit that. Ooh, we gained 10 new subscribers just today, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
Check this out. You see this? Look at this. Dog vlog 4. Dog vlog this. Dog vlog that. Look at these hip new thumbnails we got. We're really doing it right now.
Thanks, Paige.
Thanks, Paige. She also came in here and just took over the lighting and just was like, hey, you guys are doing everything wrong. Do it this way. So, I don't know. Big things coming today on the new freaking vlog. So, yeah. Hang on.
Uh-oh.
See, this is the thing, right? I got to switch back and forth. Hang on one second. All right. So, we just had to test our audio real quick, make sure it sounded good. All right, Josh, what's new?
A TV? I don't know, man. Not a lot. Went and saw my CPA on Tuesday. She told me everything I was doing wrong in QuickBooks, and I'm glad I went over there.
She had figured out.
Got it figured out. Got it squared away. Went to Cloak and Dagger yesterday. Just got some around the area.
Did you go to Mahal's today? I saw Corey yesterday.
Yep, that's where I'm going today.
Nice.
After this, actually.
I had a Parky burger yesterday.
Oh yeah,
it was good. It was real good.
Yeah, I have to give it to him, man. Like to make something like a burger like special, you know?
Yeah.
I love a smash burger too, dude. That's my favorite. I like thick patties, but there's something about just the squish, like crisp.
Oh
meat.
yeah, it's delicious.
But yeah, I'm going over there today. Getting a lot of the more of the space.
He was telling me about some of their big plans they got coming up here.
Yeah,
about to kind of redo that bowling alley upstairs. Start a big renovation on that.
Yeah,
very exciting.
Yeah, I don't want to give anything away, but it's gonna be. Yeah,
he was telling me about it. Sounds like it's gonna be sweet.
Dude, it's gonna be amazing.
Yeah,
I think it's exactly what that place needs. Because him and I were having a discussion yesterday. I mean, Mahal's was like cool. Like, I mean, but you could tell when you go in there, you're like, this place needs some work, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's freaking old.
Yeah,
it's like one of the oldest bowling alleys in Cleveland.
Yeah.
If not the oldest bowling alley in Cleveland.
Or around the world. I mean, it's approaching on it's like, what is it, centennial?
I don't know.
That's the 100-year mark, right? But, yeah, I mean, I think all the plans that he told me, it's going to make it a destination. Like,
yeah.
You go to Cleveland, you're going to Mayhall's, you know? So I think that's the big grand picture at the end of the day. So I'm really excited for what Corey has in store for that place.
I would agree. Does this feel weird having somebody just like sitting there watching us while we're doing this?
I know.
I feel like I'm talking and like I need to like try extra hard to make things sound interesting and stuff. And it's like
it's like weird already.
We're talking about burgers and I felt like she was judging us while we were talking about them.
Like, how dare they? But it's like being filmed and double filmed. It's weird.
We're double filming.
It's like paparazzi, dude. I was just telling you last night. Like, she posted that cinematic, like, David the Dog Trainer movie clip. And I was like, oh, there it is. And then I put, like, little paparazzi gifs. I was like, this is David when he starts, like, doing walks down the street now. Is that David? They're back.
Oh, man. The old dog vlog. But for real, dude, the vlog has been sweet. I think people have really dug it so far. I think that it's showing a lot of really cool behind the scenes stuff that you wouldn't normally see. For example, today, behind the scenes of the freaking podcast, I'm sure she's going to make something really hilarious and stupid out of it.
I hope so.
Like how long it took us to mount the TV.
Yeah.
And it should have taken us 4 seconds to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was telling you last week, man, like people just love to know how things work.
Yeah.
You know, even if they
People
don't have
are nosy. That's why people want to, people want to get in the nitty gritty of people's lives. So guess what? We're gonna give it to them.
I think it's more than that, though. You know, what's that? What was that fucking Discovery Channel show? How It's Made?
The Truman Show?
No, not the Truman Show.
No.
How It's Made. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember.
Okay,
that's a great show.
Yeah,
I used to watch it all the time with my dad because it was like little 10-minute long episodes.
Yeah,
and like when you'd put it on, they'd have like 15 of them in a row.
Yeah,
and you just sit there and it's like, here's how we make gummy bears. Here's how we make this.
Yeah, but I think that's just an inherent thing. It's like even people that don't have a dog, they'll be like, oh, this is cool. This is how it works. Like,
yeah,
that's pretty cool.
A day in the life.
Yeah, I think it's one of the best ideas you've had in a while.
Yeah, go team.
I'm saying it.
So that's cool. So I'm excited about all of the kind of things. Dude, this TV, I feel like is going to change the game here at this podcast. We're going to be doing some review videos today. We're just going to start picking some videos, watching them, and just talking about them. So we might as well get right into it. What do you think?
I think we should Photoshop the page right here.
In the background.
Yeah, in the
but
background.
only, you ever see like how people Photoshop like Jesus into photos and they put him like sideways coming from the top with just his one eyeball showing like he's watching you.
That's Paige.
This will be like Paige with her camera like we're watching you, whatever you're doing. What'd you say?
I am Jesus.
Paige, we could turn one of these mics on if you want to join us.
Yeah. Do you want that?
Gonna be a no.
Come on.
All right, so here's the thing. What do we want to do? Do we want to pick something random or do we want to get into like some fucking... Actually, you know what? Before we do that, we have a question on here. See how I can just pull it up?
Oh, look at that.
Here, Josh, since it's closer to you, why don't you read that question? Let's see if we can answer it.
All right. Should I say their name?
Have you seen like the GQ, I think it's GQ or something, where they go like celebrity goes undercover on social media and answers questions. And they just go through and they show them like typing out the answer to people.
Yeah. Do you want me to say their name?
Yeah, say their name.
All right. This is from Julia Darman. Hope I said that right.
All right.
Not sure what to do. I am in this exact situation. Both my dogs have been repetitively pooping in the house in the middle of the night.
Not good.
Oof. I am ready to say what you do and have them sleep in my bedroom at night, but the only thing is I don't like having them in my bedroom at night. So is there anything else I can do? Dang. Okay.
See, I would like to have them in the bedroom at night,
Yeah.
but here's the thing: I don't like having them in the bedroom at night. Okay, yeah. See, I'm gonna type and talk. You ready?
Yeah.
Either do that, or put them in a crate at night. The key here is making sure that they are confined to an area that they will not use the restroom in. By the way, how'd you like my talk and type skills there? That felt pretty good.
It sounded like I asked Siri a question.
Boom.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, right? Like the key of keeping them in the bedroom is just that they're not wandering to all of their other areas in the house that they would either get into things or have accidents or this or that, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't want to have them in the bedroom, that's fine. I understand. Like my wife is a super light sleeper. So like if Vinnie randomly one night is like up just kind of walking around or doing things, which he'll do from time to time, like she turns into like a murdering psychopath. Like it drives her so freaking crazy.
Yeah.
You know, because she's a light sleeper, right? Which I understand, obviously. Mm-hmm. So, you know, if you're a light sleeper, you don't want the dogs up moving around. You don't want to like just have that extra presence in the room. Stick them in a crate somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know, and then if you stick them in the crate and you start running into you're having issues with, you know, they haven't been crate trained before, right? So they're barking in the crate, this, that. Buy an e-collar, give corrections for barking in the crate, get that thing nice and solved.
Yeah.
So, or listen, I mean, you also technically speaking could use confining them into a separate area. You know, if you gate off a kitchen, right, and they won't have an accident in the kitchen because it's a smaller space, obviously, then that might work as well. So the key is confined to less space where they don't feel the likely or they don't feel like they should go to the bathroom, and they have to hold it then at that point.
Yeah.
So that really is your solution.
Do you have a area rug in your bedroom?
Yes.
Again. So is it still the same thing where?
Yeah. So if this table is my bedroom and this notebook is the area rug, it's like Vinnie will sometimes start just like pacing around because he's like, whatever, he might have to go outside and go to the bathroom, or he's just antsy or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'll hear him go from the area rug to the hardwood, and it's like thump 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 tap 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 thump 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 tap 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 thump 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 tap tap tap, and it's honestly one of the most infuriating noises that you'll ever hear in your life. Like, you think waking up to your dog throwing up and making like pukey noises is bad? The thump 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 tap 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 is arguably worse.
Worse? I don't know, but
it's not great.
It's a little annoying for sure.
All right, there's one question right there. I think. Oh yeah, and then we got a fan comment from Josh Russ.
Ooh.
Josh says, "What does Josh say?"
Keep the chief.
Oh, he's commenting on my shirt. I'll tell you, one time I wore that shirt in a picture. This was years ago. It was a photo of me with like a bunch of dogs in a downstate around me at like a baseball diamond.
Yeah.
You know? And I got so much hate for it. People were like, why could you wear that shirt? Blah, blah, blah. They were not thrilled about it.
Yeah.
So,
but other than that,
he likes it.
He says, awesome. Love Miracle. Great work. Keep it up.
Thank you so much. Bam. Just so everybody knows, you get those replies, it's me sending them live right here.
Live.
All right.
In color.
What else we got here? Look at those. Look at these searches, right?
Callaway Epic Max, huh?
Well, see, I had to buy a new driver earlier this year, so I was looking up all the reviews of the Epic Max versus the X-Hot driver and this and that. So I had to get last Christmas. Had to look up a Last Train guitar playthrough because John Mayer's my boy. Beach Boys.
Daily
I don't know what Keon and JC is, though.
I don't know.
I feel like that was a page search.
No, not me. I don't know who Keon is.
All right, here's the thing. We want to watch something random, or do we want to review like a Zak George video or something?
Oh, shoot.
What are you thinking?
I don't know. Let's
we'll plan these out more next time. Yeah. But right now, this is
I feel like we're
from the hip.
We're already in the dog mode, so we've been answering dog train questions. So
that wasn't an answer, though, was it?
No, just look up dog training something. That's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah. So we'll do Zak George. Let's see what he's got to say about reality dog training, inertia. Here, let's just look up Zak George and let's see what his most viewed video is. So Zak George, people have been asking.
It's hard to believe that my time with Chop is so.
Shut up. Zak George is probably currently the most followed dog trainer in the history of the world. This dude's got obviously 3.4 million subscribers. This guy just blew up. He makes very, very in-depth videos, and he's just like a YouTube sensation. He's this really big personality, you'll see, and he's a positive-only trainer, obviously.
Yeah.
Right? So unfortunately, a lot of people in the YouTube balance training community that have, substantial followings, whether it's, coming up on 1 million or 500,000 or whatever it is, are always like, man, somebody's got to take Zak George down because he's just giving out such bad information all the time.
Yeah.
So a lot of people do reviews of him. So let's take a look at some of his videos, see what we got.
How did he blow up so much?
I honestly have no idea. All right, videos. How do I look up the most viewed? There should be a filter for that, right? All videos, uploads, sort by.
Sort
there we
by.
go.
There we
go. Figuring out how to use this. Most popular. 3 things to teach your new puppy. Potty training made easy. Ouch. Stop biting. Oh, how about, you got anything on leash reactivity you see?
How to stop leash pulling.
Humanely.
Oh, humanely.
Stop. I want to see leash reactivity. The most realistic leash dog training lesson ever.
How to teach your dog to shake.
Oh man.
Your favorite exercise.
Paige, you want to pick one for us? Which one do you think?
Stop leash pulling and barking.
First 24 hours with a totally untrained dog. Somebody got to pick one here. Go up.
All the way to the right.
Which one?
Your dog to listen right now.
All right. Here we go. Let's get into it.
All right.
Got some vibes.
Maybe that's what it is. Yeah, it's that 80s music.
Paige, take notes here because we need to start making
Wait,
videos just like this.
Did you see the logo? Yeah. Oh, got to get the drone out.
Dude, this is such a weenie.
This guy is such a dweeb, dude. I don't understand. He paid somebody for all these.
Sponsored by PetFlow.com, the leader in pet food delivery. Change the way you buy dog food and help change the way people teach dogs.
All right.
Today's episode of the Dog Training Revolution is extremely important. In fact, it's so important.
Can you hear this?
Dang it, I missed it.
You can? Because I could actually make that headphone louder just so you probably hear it through the...
That the exercise we're going to cover today should be one of the first things you teach your dog. Most people don't realize this,
One of the
but there
first
is
things
a
to teach your
single
dog. Let's see
thing
what we
that
got
you
here.
can do to dramatically increase the odds that your dog will listen to you, especially around distractions. Higher energy dogs are typically more challenging to teach the concepts we're going to go over today. That's why I've gone to our local shelter and borrowed Jacob, the pit bull, to give you a really good example of what you can expect in a semi-extreme case. Hey, click thumbs up right now for Jacob, the shelter dog, and help the Dog Training Revolution reach out.
Thumbs up.
Dude, there it is. Got to click thumbs
Hit the
up.
thumbs up. Smash that like button. We're David Dobrik
Also,
now.
you just need to be like this the whole time. Because he literally didn't stop smiling the whole
Million
time.
subscribers. By subscribing right now, I've got lots of fun videos planned for the future, and I have videos on virtually every topic you
need
can
that hair
imagine.
swoop,
Become
too.
a greater part of the Dog Training Revolution by liking me on Facebook as well. I'll have a link in the description.
That's Paige.
Did you see that behind
That
the
was
scenes
Paige.
page there?
You'll need to budget a lot of time because he has so much energy, and high energy dogs require more time than most dogs. But the upside is they can be absolutely amazing. Of course, you also need to get him dog food as well. And the most convenient way I know of to get dog food is by setting up automatic pet food delivery.
Get out of here with the ads.
Yeah,
You
he's
know?
trying,
Let's
man.
get into the freaking video already. How about that? Also, first off, yes, high energy dogs, you should be able to stimulate them more, but regardless of how high energy the dog is or low energy the dog is, they should all be able to be chilled out just as effectively, right? I talk about all the time with my dogs. I have one of the highest drive freaking dogs on the planet, Mr. Vinnie, downstairs. And guess what? There are weeks that go by that we don't do that much, and his high energy is not an excuse for him to misbehave. So you shouldn't have, see, this mentality of like, you know, if you get a high energy dog and you don't have like 2 to 3 spare hours every single day to chill them out, you know, all these issues are a you problem. It's like, listen, we domesticated dogs to adapt to our lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
2 hours, even an hour every day for like, you know, going out and doing all these different things and stuff like that, that can be very unrealistic for a lot of people. And that doesn't mean they shouldn't be able to enjoy a dog.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know?
At petflow.com/Zak George. Just set it up one time and your food will always be there when you need it. And it's really easy. They have all the big brands. Just pick the brand of dog food you want, how often you want it delivered. You'll be so happy you did this too, because it means you don't have to go run across town every time you run
Dude,
out of
I don't
dog
get
food.
it.
You can edit or cancel the automatic delivery at any time for any reason at all.
You trained the
are
dog
such
already,
a
dude?
goofball. Oh my gosh. After you set up automatic pet food delivery, use code ZAK20 when you check out. You'll get 20% off of your first order. And understand that you're helping support videos like this and the Dog Training Revolution by getting your pet food.
The revolution.
petflow.com. Oh, I just can't focus on working with you. Look at you. You're so handsome.
Things not to do with a new high energy dog. Get them even more jacked up before you start training
Yeah.
them.
The description, all the information will be there. But now I'm ready to teach you something. Are you ready?
He looks ready. More drone footage. Let's hear that music too.
We're going to cover 3 principles today that'll show you how to get started with teaching your dog, especially how to teach them to listen to you when they're distracted. Now, I got to be clear, this is not optional. You've got to teach your dogs what we're going to go over in this video today if you ever hope to have them listen to you while distracted. Now, you can see he's really energetic. I brought him inside today because indoors is likely to be a little bit more familiar to him than outside, where there are so many smells and distractions.
All right, second thing you want to teach your dog right away that I'm sure he's not going to tell you here, don't get them dependent on constant interaction, right? So we see a lot lot of people, particularly in the positive only realm here, what they'll do is exactly what he's doing in this video is they are non-stop freaking touching their dog.
Yeah.
Right? And what happens is, yeah, they can keep the dog in one spot, but they're still overstimulated beyond belief, and they're becoming more and more and more and more and more dependent on that constant interaction, so that when you go to stop interacting with them, I would bet you anything if you were to just stand up and stand there and not like talk to the dog or interact with that dog would be all over him, jumping him, biting at the leash, just being a complete psychopath, right? In addition to that, you're obviously reinforcing all of the bad habits you don't want.
Yeah.
Leash biting, being super jacked up. First thing I teach dogs, we talked about this when I got Waffles, is to coexist by themselves without the need of constant interaction.
Yep.
Which is why we did back-tied exercises over there for freaking weeks. Weeks, right? When we got him, so that he started learning that even if we're doing something and I don't have the focus on you right now, you can still chill there by yourself and be okay.
Yeah.
Whenever we're introducing a new concept to our dog, we want to do it in a less distracting environment. The first thing I like to teach any dog that I work with is how to look at me in the eye. Because remember, if you can get your dog's eyes, you can communicate with them much easier. This is really simple. I've got a tiny piece of chicken here. I'm going to let him know
Dogs have ears. They can listen to you. They don't have to always look at you for everything.
Yeah.
have it. In fact, just to get him a little motivated, I'm just going to give him a piece of chicken for the heck of it to let him know.
Just for the heck of it.
Something good. We're going to hold the chicken up to our eyes. Look. Yes. Good. I'm simply saying yes right now to let him know that that equals chicken coming to him. Does that make sense? So check it out. Watch this. I'm going to hold the chicken up again to my eyes. You can even make a sound like that if they're distractible. Just get them looking to your face. Yes. Very good. But I don't want him ultimately looking at this chicken. You see, I want him looking into my eyes. So, look right here. Nothing in my hand. Right here. Look. Look at me. Yes. Good. By no longer holding a treat up to my eyes and
again, not giving interaction, immediately dog jumping all over him. And especially, again, listen, like, obviously we're fans of pit bulls. We like pit bulls here, right? But you got a high energy dog. Look at this split screen of him just like lunging at something off camera, right? You have a pit bull, a high energy dog, and now all of a sudden we're telling them, again, get more amped up. We're not addressing those problems that are ultimately going to get these dogs rehomed. And then when they get more amped up, when guests are coming over or situations where you're not in low distracting environments, and then they start jumping all over new people and biting at their clothes and this and that, that so commonly gets misconstrued as aggression. And that's how dogs get put down.
using my hand instead. I'm teaching him to look to my eyes rather than looking at a tree. With a high energy dog like this, it's really important to kind of pick up the pace. Yes. Smart dogs are really aware of their environment, and you've got to give them a reason to keep paying attention to you. Yes, good. I really want to make sure I'm good.
That's another thing. So here's the thing, right? So realistically, let's say we wanted to take a positive only training approach with this, right? This is something that we'll do with young puppies and stuff. The first thing I teach them is not look at me. Look at me does not matter. I have never in my life with my clients' dogs needed to teach the dog to make eye contact before, because here's the thing. If my dog downs every time I ask him to down and they walk on a leash perfectly and they sit every time I ask them to sit and they come when called, does it matter if they make direct eye contact with me the entire time? No. So teach the things that actually matter. You know what actually matters in this situation? Not looking at you, because the dog can still jump all over you and look at you.
Yeah.
The first thing you teach them is that they only get rewarded if they're not jumping, right? Which, listen, that's a common positive only thing that they teach. And I'm sure, or at least I would hope at some point in this video, he will kind of discuss that concept. But I would get my treats. I would stand up. Don't get on the floor with a dog like this, because you're just teaching them to be all over you. I would stand up. I would hold the treats. And I would use, getting into the science of things, negative punishment, which means removing rewards to decrease the likelihood of a behavior anytime he jumps on me.
Yeah.
And then when he's no longer jumping and he's stable on the ground, that's when I would mark and reward, right? So you immediately start getting it into their head that jumping doesn't get anything, and staying on the ground, not even necessarily sitting, is what is getting you rewarded.
Yeah.
Deliberate when talking to him. Look at me. Yes, good.
Also, that's not how you layer in a cue. You don't go, look at me, look at me, look at me. We talked about this in a vlog the other day of conditioning and cues. You have to teach the behavior first. So we have to get the dog maintaining eye contact first so that we could then put a cue before the behavior and before we give the help, because that's, again, the science of how classical conditioning works.
Said look at me only when I had eye contact, because he doesn't know the word yet.
You don't say look at me when the dog is making eye contact. You say look at me before the dog gives eye contact. Also, don't do multiple syllable commands. That's confusing for dogs.
Really content that he has the basic concept of look at me, albeit with a little bit of coaching. The next thing we're going to cover is teaching him how to leave this chicken alone when we drop it on the ground in front of him. I'm pretty sure he doesn't know how to leave chicken alone yet. Leave it alone. Okay.
Again, multiple syllable command. How about just leave it?
Yeah.
That's our next order of business. We're going to teach him how to leave this chicken alone without pulling him back in any way. This is inside-out dog training in full bloom. Whenever you're teaching,
Motivating your dog from within rather than physically manipulating them.
your dog something new, it's so important to not ask for the moon. So look, right there. He went for it. What did I do? Did I pull him away? Did I push him? No. I closed my hand. Now, when he looks away, I'm then going to say yes to let him know that I like it. Yes, good. And I'm going to give him the chicken. You see that? Good, yes.
He said he's not holding the dog back, but I saw him
Yeah,
hold the
I
dog
know.
back by the collar there. Also, I have some pointers on how to teach this more effectively as well. We'll talk about in a minute.
Good job. Of course, give your dog that sincere encouragement. It's not just about giving him treats or toys. It's about letting them know how much you love them and appreciate them as well. Good job, buddy. So let's go on to the next stage of leave it. I want to be able to drop it in front of him. See that? I dropped it in front of him. I knew he was going to go for it. I'm not even going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to cover it up. Again, it's the same concept here. I'm covering it up, and when he backs off of it, I'm going to pick up the treat
Jesus
and give it
Christ.
to him. I like to pick up the treat rather than saying eat the treat off the ground to let him know that rewards come from me, not the ground. We're just waiting for him.
There's just like so much wrong with this. Like we could just all day long talk about this, right? So like you can give indirect rewards are a thing, meaning that they don't come from you. And as long as you understand how your markers work and they understand that the only way they get access to the reward wherever it is through you, then the dog will still be able to make that connection, right?
Yeah.
So if I have a condition, yes, Mark, because we used to do this in sport dog training all the time, and I had a ball or something like that over there, right? And I got the dog working with me away from the reward, which is actually the goal here, right? Is to get them working with you, not because you have the reward directly in your hand, right? And then I mark with yes, and they understand that means that they can go get their reward at that point. That truly is the dog understanding that I have to listen to you and I have to go through you to get that reward, because if not, the dog will be way off over there fucking around with it. In addition to that, he's moving through these stages so fast, right? So hypothetically speaking, we would continue doing the hand drill with the leave it, right? Where we close it, wait till he disengages, mark and reward. Wait till he disengages, mark and reward. And here's the other side of it, too. If you want him to actually leave something, your reward should not be the thing that he's leaving, right? Because what you're doing is you're kind of fighting an uphill battle of you're telling him, don't go for this thing, go for this thing. Don't go for this thing, go for this thing. Where if we teach him, hey, dropping a piece of food on the ground, leave it, right? And then the reward comes from over here, that's truly going to get him understanding the things we're telling them to leave, they actually should completely leave. Like there's no chance you're going to get that object. One of the exercises in Mondio Ring we used to work on was food refusal, right? Which is where we would teach this with like we would put the dog in a down, the handler would go out of sight, and then somebody would come up with like a hamburger or something like that, stick it right in front of the dog, and you had to teach the dog to leave that. And if we constantly gave them the hamburger at the end of that drill, you better believe there would be much less likelihood that they would be waiting until they got their reward. And they would just be going for it. Right? So, you want to get that really perfect, and you need to hit a point where you don't need to cover it up every time. Like, I would not work on dropping it on the ground until I was pretty damn confident that when I dropped it on the ground, he was not going to go for it. Because that's setting the dog up for failure with it, right? And this is where... I recently bought that DVD, The Power of Training Dogs with Food, which to me is like the Bible of how to use like rewards only in dog training, right? And it's just funny when you look at something like this and you look at something like that, and the attention to detail and specificity, is that a word? Specificity? Whatever. Specifics of how much attention to detail goes into stuff, and then how loose and just like unformal this is. It's just ridiculous.
So persistent, show some restraint, and then I'm going to give it to him.
He's trying pretty hard. Elapsed time, 5 minutes later.
I'm looking for just a hint of restraint this time. Yes, good. Do you see how I didn't insist that he leave it alone for 10 seconds? He left it alone for a half second. I said yes. Yes, good. Awesome job, buddy. You're doing great. I'm going to try.
Like, it's not that this stuff isn't going to work, right? Like, the dog is understanding to leave it. It's just you get into, like, make this stuff as efficient as possible.
Get a little bit more time in now. Leave it alone. Yes. Do you see that? Just a little bit longer. Now let's see if we can add to that.
Look at all that
Whoa, whoa,
chicken
whoa.
all over the
Come here,
place, too.
Jacob.
Yeah.
Notice how I have him on leash, too, to kind of keep him in my area. Leave it alone. Yes. Did you see how I said leave it alone there? I was pretty confident he was...
It's just you get into like important things. Like even though he's leaving it like in between, he's still freaking out, jumping all over him.
Leave it alone for the 2.5 seconds that I was asking for. Leave it alone. Yes, good. Did you see that? That was amazing. Really good. I'm going to give him a jackpot reward for that. Anytime your dog breaks new ground like that, let him know you really love it by giving him an extra big treat. You just left all of that chicken alone, all by yourself. You did really good.
Oh.
Where's this at? What city is this?
It's got to be in Florida.
You think
So
so?
what have we done so
Yeah.
far? I've asked him to look at me when I ask. He's done that reasonably well. He's also learned to leave the chicken alone when I drop it in front of him. But now this is where the real magic happens. We're going to combine the two. Leave it alone and look at me. You will come back to this exercise time and time again in one form or another. So it's important to get it really solid. I like to call this exercise the leave it, watch me combo. Why is this such an important, powerful exercise? Well,
Now, here's the thing. Like, I understand why a lot of people like this kind of stuff, right? Like, from the looking at it, it's like, oh, wow, like, he taught him 2 tricks really quickly. Wow, the dog's so smart. Look, he's leaving that. Here's the problem with it. Here's why we always take a balanced training approach with things, right? In this exact case, your competing motivators you have are the same thing, right? So he's leaving the chicken to get a piece of chicken, right?
Yeah.
Most behavioral issues that you'll have are created from positive reinforcement, right? Positive reinforcement is what shapes everybody's behaviors, obviously.
Yeah.
So that means that your dog chasing a squirrel outside is positive reinforcement to the dog. So if we're taking approach of leaving a squirrel, that means we have to have an equally valuable reward for the dog to choose instead.
Yeah.
Right? So it'll work in the form of trick training when we're using the same thing, right? And you can incrementally alter those rewards where as long as the dog has enough value behind like the lower reward perceived coming from you, obviously, you know, you can get them to leave slightly higher value things. But when we work with dogs that are so freaking prey driven, right? Where like deer, squirrels, this, that, reacting to other dogs, reacting to other people, aggression issues are positive reinforcement. Like a dog going and freaking out and trying to bite you and you leaving is positively reinforcing that aggressive behavior, right?
Yeah,
and that's an emotionally charged big response out of a dog, right? This is not going to work in that case because you have to have something they care more about it, which is why we see time and time and time and time again people that come to us that have worked with other positive reinforcement trainers who the trainer's been like, oh, we'll go buy a freaking steak, right? And this and that, and like whatever, like the absolute highest value piece of food you could possibly imagine for your dog, and go out and cut it up every time you go for a walk and take it out and try to give it to your dog when they start reacting at other dogs. And it doesn't work. It literally does not work. We have people tell us all the time, I literally cooked steak and took it out on my walks for my dog every walk and couldn't get them to stop reacting at other dogs because the positive reinforcement elicited by that reactivity is so much stronger than this, right? This is the unrealistic side of things. Excuse me. And this is why, again, we just preach over and over again. And I feel the need to like watch these things and talk about these things because it helps you see through the weeds, right? None of these videos you ever see are real life situations where you actually see the results. All we hear is this is the concept in a controlled environment. And this is how, if you apply it over the course of years and years, right, finally you'll get your results, but you never actually see the results. You know what I mean? It's just so flawed, and it's so like unhonest because like these people can't even do this stuff. You know what I mean? Like with a lot of these trainers with their personal dogs still struggle severely with these types of things.
I feel like even with this dog, if he just took this dog to his front yard, he probably wouldn't do it.
100%.
When you drop a piece of real meat in front of your dog and not only expect them to leave it alone, but to then take their eyes off the meat and look at you instead. Well, that is how you set them up for...
Again, just the constant... you know what I mean? Like, this is not real life. You know, none of this is real life dog training.
Future distraction training. See, the meat is a minor distraction. If you want them to listen to you around a barking dog or a squirrel running across the road, you have to make sure that you can get their eyes on you in this situation first. Does that make sense? The first
Does that make
time
sense?
you do this, you want to reward for leave it individually and look at me individually. I'm just trying to get him in the habit.
And again, before you start combining, just the science, like I have no problem with positive training, right? But the specifics behind, if you're going to combine commands, both commands have to be really good by themselves. Like he's still luring the looking, which means the dog is not understanding making eye contact, right? The dog is just understanding follow the treat.
Yeah.
And the leave it is still kind of dependent on, again, like him really setting it up. Leave it, set it down. You know, the dog's not having a clear enough understanding of it to do this.
Behaviors side by side. You see what I mean? We're going to go for the home run. We're going to have him leave the treat alone, and then I'm going to try and get his eyes on me while the treat remains on the ground. He's a little wild, but that's okay. That's all right.
All these cuts, it's like 5 minutes later after I had to get the dog back under control.
It's intelligent. That's all that is. Leave it alone. Look at me. Are you kidding me? Look at you. That was awesome.
Also, he didn't even mark the behavior, right? Know. He said, look at me, or leave it. Look at me. Awesome. You're so good. What happened to our markers we were using that clearly identify correct behaviors, right? And then you get into, again, science of markers here, right? So when we're using a mark, the importance of using, like, instead of a lot of people be like, why can't I say good boy? Or why can't I say you're doing well or something like that? You get into multiple syllables being more complicated for dogs. If you look at, say, all of your different forms of markers, right? You look at a click, right? A click takes like 0.4 of a second, right? It's so quick, so you could identify something really precisely. Like I could click at the freaking second your finger touches the table, right? If we look at a yes marker, right? Yes is a little longer than a click, but it still can be used very precisely. You start getting into good boy. By the time I finish saying boy, the dog potentially may have stopped doing the behavior that I was asking for, meaning that they're not 100% certain what they're getting rewarded for in that moment. And as you get even more broad into like, wow, that was so good. It's like by the time you finish that sentence, the dog was already leaping for his treat.
Yeah, exactly.
So did you see that first attempt too? This is why it's so important to prep your dog rather than just going into the exercise at full blast. Leave it alone. Look at me. Yes, good boy. Since he's doing relatively well with it,
he kind of marked with that, like too. He was trying to not say that he's doing that though.
When you change environments like this, when you're trying to do the same thing that you did inside, for example, that you take a step back on your training, kind of remind your dog what you're expecting of them. Be very patient and understanding if they don't immediately get it. Remember, the fastest way you're going to confuse your dog is by changing their surroundings. Come here. Leave it alone. Good. Look at me. Yes! Awesome job. Eat that. You are so good. And I think that's a great place to stop on this exercise. Your next steps for this would be walking in front of your house back and forth and rewarding your dog for leaving a toy or a treat alone, but I have lots of videos that will show you that as well. Just go through my playlist, which I'll have in the description of this video. Like me on Facebook at facebook.com/thezakgeorge. It's hard to believe that
It's hard to believe. We found the perfect home for him, but he got into a, what does that say? Into a fight with the dog, reality dog trainer. Oh, Jesus, let's watch this.
Tabs was turned into the shelter as a stray. When we got her, we took x-rays and sent them over to our...
It's hard to believe that my time with Chop is so close to ending. Of course, we still haven't found him a home, but that should be no problem since his house...
Looks like this guy doesn't get any sleep. Dude.
Yeah, he aged poorly. He looks like he's got a lot of makeup on, honestly.
Yeah.
So for some context on this video, because I believe I watched one of the other ones, he had this dog in his care for a while, and it was like a super reactive, like shepherd mix, right?
Yeah.
And I watched one video where he tried to take the dog to a dog park, like after having the dog for like 3 weeks or something like that. The dog it took the dog around the dog park, like test his reactivity, and the dog just freaked the fuck out. Right?
Yeah.
So this will be interesting to see. It looks like I didn't know that it was a dog that he was trying to home out.
Perfect. Knowing that Chop is leaving soon, it's hard for me to resist taking just a few more opportunities to squeeze in a training session with Inertia here and there too, especially when it comes to listening to me around other dogs.
Paw, the most functional command. Yes. The one that we have all of our clients when they call us, they're like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know why my dog doesn't listen. They know sit, they know down, they know paw.
So while this might look like a training session for
Functional
Chop at first
obedience
glance,
commands.
I'm also still staying focused on Inertia too, to help her understand that she needs to be calm and patient while I work with other dogs.
That's his personal dog, I believe.
Lie down. Stand. They're both doing pretty well so far. If you've ever tried this yourself, though, you'll probably agree that Inertia is making it look pretty easy. It can take a lot of practice to teach dogs how to patiently wait their turn while other dogs are present. I don't even know where I would be with Chop without Bark and Super Chewer boxes. I get one of each of these
Here it
boxes
is.
shipped to me every single month, so I always have a fresh set of premium toys and really good quality treats anytime.
I don't even know where my training would be with him if it weren't
They're
for this.
instantly interested in whatever it is that's
just
in that
get
box.
this. Oh my
These are
God.
the treats I'm using. They seem to be doing the trick. I predict this will be Inertia's favorite toy. I wouldn't have even known that Inertia loved dangly toys unless they had sent this to me. So I love that it allows me to discover new things that I would never think of. BarkBox makes these really original plush toys, but Chop, on the other hand, is definitely more of a Super Chewer box dog. Super Chewers for dogs who need tougher toys. It's a day spa theme.
Bro,
So this
enough
gives you
with
skip
the
this,
ads.
man.
How do
Yeah.
I
toy,
skip
but it's
it?
extra
Just,
tough under
yeah, just go through.
is these days too.
There you
Every time I think that Chop and Inertia's relationship is as good as it can get, they just get even cuter and more comfortable with one another. As Inertia's dad, seeing them interact like this means so much.
Looks like he's got a pretty
to me.
banging
I may have
place
helped
there.
Chop with a lot of things,
Oh, yeah.
but I will owe him forever for helping me show Inertia
Getting
how
that
to be more
AdSense money.
confident around bigger
Shit.
dogs. This is a
3.4
really
million
interesting example.
subs
Inertia
right
gets
there.
a little annoyed with Chop, but watch how he responds.
Oh, easy. That might be enough.
That was
Just a little annoyed.
Yeah, but then he takes so he de-escalates.
And that's exactly what I want to see, especially from Chop. Chop is a pretty big dog who has kind of a high probability of accidentally irritating other dogs in the future. I mean, just due to his size and just his overall energy, if nothing else. So to me, I think it's going to be very important that Chop know how to take a measured correction like that from other dogs, and that he take it the right way without escalating things. And not only did he not escalate things, he actually backed off, he laid on his back, as if to say, sorry, I didn't mean to.
Also, that was not a correction. They're in the middle of play. Like,
Yeah.
like nothing bad. Like you heard him say, like easy, easy,
Yeah.
easy, easy. We just posted 2 videos in the last couple of days that we filmed about socializing dogs who had some dog aggression issues, and you'll see actual corrections in those videos. You'll see actual looking aggressive behaviors out of dogs, and you'll see how little we actually need to intervene. And when you actually do that, you go easy, 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 and then you start kind of trying to move the dogs away from each other. All you do is build more frustration and get in the way of this natural interaction from happening.
Not all dogs will respond exactly like Chop did, and that's okay. So I'm really hoping that we can find him a home with another playful, friendly dog like Inertia that he can interact with all of
Well, that was pretty cute.
the time. A little while ago, we put together a video, we
What? Oh, yeah.
posted it on social to really try to cast a decent-sized net in order to find Chop a fantastic home.
I'm sure nobody wanted him because they saw all the videos of him freaking the fuck out,
Yeah.
not being able to control it.
We're looking for a really specific type of home for Chop. I mean, he is such an incredible dog. But for him to really thrive, he's going to need someone super committed and passionate who
Yeah, just let your dog up on the counter if you're trying to home them. Like when you're fucking,
Yeah.
what are you doing? Trying to home this dog out? You're just like, oh, let me just.
can keep up with him and give him the active life that he deserves. And ideally, a dog friend who matches his play style too.
A few days later.
Because we've been struggling to find the ideal home for Chop. Because we really want him to go to the best place possible. But yeah, it's surprising because when George's series went up, I mean, there were so many people who wanted George, do you know what I mean, once the YouTube series premiered. And I know that's going to be the case with Chop. There's going to be so many people who'd be like, I'd take that dog in a second. All the more reason to follow us on Instagram. That is the only place I talk about it.
Look at
That's
that
where
plug.
we announce these dogs months ahead.
I'll tell you, that's what some of these guys got though. Is they can they know how to work this shit a little
Yeah.
bit. Ooh, also, I just saw on this touchpad I could skip through videos. That's cool.
Yeah.
Time before they ever make it to YouTube.
Didn't know
This
that.
is high tech.
FYI,
Yeah.
if you
I feel
think
high tech right now.
you might want one of our future dogs, follow us there.
We'll make it happen. He's amazing. Look at him.
It's been raining pretty heavy all day, so he has.
Where are they at? That's got to be like Seattle or something.
But
Yeah, now they
it's
are
good
for
to know
sure.
he can chill out on days like this.
I mean, street dog to house dog. Legitimately, look at him.
Yeah, he has so much love and
Street dog.
Such a big.
Also, did you see that quick clip of him freaking out at some dogs there?
Yeah.
Let's see the after of that.
Part, man.
He's amazing.
We got an email from some potential adopters that finally sounded like they could be exactly the family that we're looking for.
They check all the right boxes. I mean, they have a fenced yard, great references. They also do a lot of traveling and adventuring, which would be incredible. I would love to see Chop out there in the snow, maybe ski joring.
And Steven he does like biking in all seasons of forest biking. I don't even know what to call it, but
Yeah.
he does like adventure biking, and I think Chop would love that.
He's like a hexathlete.
Chop would love
I
adventure
don't know.
biking.
He does. This guy does everything.
I want this to work out. I think that they're great. I really want it to work.
They also want a playmate for their other dog, Shuggy,
Yeah.
who
Shuggy.
loves other dogs, and I would love to see Chop end up in a home with another dog that likes to play like he does. But first, I want Steven and Sarah to meet Chop and see how they like him.
We invited them over so that we could spend some time together
like that
and
couch.
get to know one another. I wanted to make sure that Sarah and Steven had as much time as they want.
So let me tell you this, right? That right there. Here. Oh, wait, hold on. You ready? I forgot I could do
Time
that.
together and get to know one another.
So watch
I
this.
wanted to make sure that
That
Sarah...
didn't look much different than that freaking pit bull video we just watched. And this is after
Yeah.
we've had this dog for months and months.
Stephen had as much time as they wanted with Chop. I mean, this really
You should
is a
explain
huge
what happened
decision
for people that are just
everyone
listening.
involved.
So there, in the first video, obviously, he was trying to teach Leave It with the food. And now they're showing some clips of him trying to teach Leave It with this dog that he's had, obviously, for quite a long time that he's
Yeah.
done training with. And the dog is still not leaving. It's still leaping at them for the food.
Yeah.
And so far, I'd say that Chop really seems to like them. Everything is going well so far, so I think we should take things outside. I've got to say, the more time that we spend together, the better I'm feeling about these guys. I'm really seeing the potential for Chop to have an unbelievable life with Sarah and Steven.
And then it was time for Shuggy, their dog, to meet Chop. And I'm thinking this is going to go pretty smoothly. Chop loves dogs.
Uh-oh.
He's been hitting it off great with Inertia. I mean, his biggest problem is that he loves dogs so much.
So they got their dog Shuggy out of the car, and we
Let's talk about this introduction before
Yeah.
it even happens to see if we can figure out where the holes are going to be. All right, so first thing, they're doing it initially through a fence, which I will typically recommend doing, obviously, right? I have no problem with that. But the dog that's coming, their current dog, is just dragging them to the fence line here.
let the dogs investigate one another through our
As
fence.
they're sniffing through the fence, constant tension on the leash.
Yep.
Right? So that's basically, obviously, an on-leash greeting at that point. The constant tension just creates frustration as they're interacting with each
Yeah.
other. And most people will do that because they're nervous of what their dog is going to do, right?
Yep.
So they hold the constant tension, right? They let them kind of sniff and stuff, but they're ready to just whip that dog away in case there's a problem that comes. But what happens is because we're intervening and we're creating that tension and frustration and our dog feels restricted,
Yep.
if they start trying to play and the other dog that's off leash then starts to run around and that dog tries to go with them and realizes, wham, I'm on the leash. Boom.
Yeah.
Reactivity, potential fights, a lot of problems.
And,
First,
why
they
isn't
seem pretty
he
interested in
saying
one
anything to
another
them
and
about that?
Look at those play bowels. After a couple of minutes of this, we decided to let Shuggy through the fence. Shuggy ran
Still
in and
dragging
was
through on the
really
fence.
excited to
Yeah.
meet everyone, but Chop really wanted to interact with Shuggy, to say the least.
Then it felt like, to me, a nightmare scenario unfolded.
Okay, first off, that wasn't really a fight, first off,
No.
right? Like, the one dog was jumping on the other dog and being all playful, and the other dog was like,
Yeah.
which we see all the time when you get like a drama queen dog that comes
Yeah.
in. Sometimes they'll start squeaking and making a mess. And before it even happened, you could hear the owner say, Shuggy, Shuggy, Shuggy,
Yeah.
right? Like freaking out about it.
Here we are in the final stages of
And
this
obviously this
series, and
dog
I
wasn't
felt
trying to like
in
he's
that
running away,
moment,
right?
Every bit of training I had done with him was meaningless.
Now, this is where we talked about in one of the videos that we posted, we have to have a balanced approach because here's the thing. That dog needed to be, if that was actually an issue, right then and there, knowing that that dog was not aggressive. He was not probably trying to attack that other dog. No. The other dog wasn't trying to fight back. He was just trying to create some space for himself.
Yeah.
All we need to do to literally solve that problem immediately is give a correction for the overly pushiness.
Yeah.
Tell the other dog, hey, leave him alone for a little bit. Let him kind of acclimate to your space.
Yeah.
And then we could allow them to slowly and more properly interact with each other.
Yeah.
And even though he didn't bite Shuggy and no harm was done, obviously there are things that could have been done better here, and I think we all need to learn from this. And look, I want to be the first
What are they?
one to take responsibility here. Anytime something like this happens, it is on me. I'm the one in charge and the one who should be teaching Chop not to interact with another dog like that. First and foremost, I shouldn't have had Shuggy in a position to not see Chop approaching her.
I really think that Chop just got
That's not a, I mean, there was an open area. The
Yeah.
dog could have clearly seen him.
way too overexcited. Ran right over Shuggy thinking that he could play.
Also, it looked like, if we clip that back a second. All right, so before this happens.
Here we are
He
in the
literally
final
picked
stages
him
up.
of this series, and I felt like in that moment, every
So watch here. It looks like in a second that what probably happened is he was holding Chop back, and then as soon as Shuggy went in, just let him go, right? And again, we talk about how that creates, that is the exact situation. So here's something we hear all the time as well, right? Somebody's got their dog in the house. The dog is freaking out, amped up because there's another dog across the street, and that dog may be very playful, right?
Yeah.
And suddenly they forget to close the door or something. Suddenly barrier's gone, and just wham, dog slingshots out towards that dog like a freaking rocket, right? And what we'll see is that even though the dog is not necessarily trying to be aggressive, that energy, how they come in like that, there's all this restraint, and suddenly restraint is gone, is what triggers a dog fight, right? Which is why they should have just opened, if that's the case, if what I think I saw is actually the case, they should have just opened the gate and just let him in with no additional restraint.
Yeah.
had done with him was meaningless.
I love
Even
that.
though he didn't bite Shuggy and
Watch.
no harm was done, obviously there are things that could have been done better here, and I think we all need to learn from this. And look, I want to be the first one to take responsibility here. Anytime something like this happens, it is on me. I'm the one in charge and the one who should be teaching Chop not to interact with another dog like that. First and foremost, I shouldn't have had Shuggy in a position to not see
Yeah,
Chop
looked like he was
approaching.
holding and
I
then
really
let
think
go.
that Chop
Yeah.
just got way too overexcited. Ran right over Shuggy thinking that he could play however he wanted.
I think
And
that
again,
he just
nothing,
was-
he wasn't biting the other dog. It
No.
looks like he ran over with a lot of energy and like
Yeah.
tripped over him and
Yeah.
wound up on top of it. Like, that's not a fight.
No.
unsure. I don't think he was like feeling vicious or anything, you know.
From what I know of him, I agree with you.
Now, I know some of you might be quick to say that the reason we saw Chop behave like this is because we haven't been allowing him to interact in public very much with other dogs. But remember, that is by design because there's a time and there's a place to interact with dogs, and in public, while on leash, is not the ideal place to do that.
So I was kind of shaken up by this because I really, really wanted to work with these people if they want him, if they determine this is the right dog for them. Because you can tell they are two people who are going to give their life to this dog and commit to training him and just loving him and everything you want for in a family. At this point, I'm basically expecting them just to be like,
Bye, I'm gone.
yeah,
Thanks.
right, thanks, probably not going to work
Nice
out,
to meet you
whatever.
and your scary dog, but I'm gonna move on.
But Sarah and Steven stayed to talk with us about what had happened, and they agreed with our analysis that Shuggy was definitely startled by Chop's less than polite greeting, and that it may have just been a poor first impression. And at this point, we really took some time to reevaluate and determine whether it was appropriate or even fair to the dogs to try again. And we decided to go about it differently and give the dogs another shot once they had a chance to calm down. This time we moved much slower and gave them even more time to get to know each other through the fence first. And this is much more of what I was expecting. That's a look I've seen Chop give Inertia 1,000 times when he really wants to play with her. This time we put a muzzle on Chop to be
my
extra
God.
safe. And we brought Shuggy into the yard again,
Okay, before you do your interactions, stop petting the freaking dogs.
but we made sure to give her a minute to get her bearings this time. Because they were both looking happy and ready to play, we let them give it a go. And this is the Chop I expected to see. They did well for several minutes, even though Chop was a little distracted by his muzzle. Since he and Shuggy seemed so much more relaxed and both of them seemed really comfortable, I decided to take off Chop's muzzle. And just like that, they were like a match made in heaven. So while things could have gone smoother, this was definitely a good recovery.
Okay, so good on him to at least like be okay with using a muzzle in this situation. It just wasn't necessary. Like if you look at that entire initial interaction, like just, like don't be so quick to jump in. This is why dogs get labeled aggressive, right? That there was no aggression to any of that.
Yeah.
Right? But instead, we're looking at it as if it is. And if he's so concerned about this right now, you better believe the 3.4 million people that are watching all of these videos, anytime they see anything that looks like that, are going to start thinking that it's aggression, which causes them to not socialize their dogs anymore when they actually need to, right? Which causes the dogs to actually develop more frustration and more kind of novelty when they do see other dogs, which causes them to, over time, actually start to get aggressive. This is how this stuff, gets created.
And look, it doesn't necessarily go this smoothly every time. In many cases, I wouldn't even attempt another interaction after an introduction like this, at least not on the same day. But every case is different, and in this particular instance, for the reasons I mentioned earlier, I thought it was okay to try again.
In the end, they got along so well, but I know from experience, having had a dog who's been in altercations before, that is the one thing you remember about that day. And I am just really afraid that we may have messed this up for Chop. I really want this to work.
I would sincerely feel.
All right, let's find one more here.
All right. This guy.
All right, here we go. This video is called "Watch What I Train My Dog on a Daily Basis." Why isn't she trained yet? So here's his dog. Oh, whoops.
God, 35 minutes.
Is it? Oh, jeez. We'll only watch
Didn't
some of
pay
it.
attention to stay, ran out the door. Oh my gosh, what is happening right now? I'm Zak George. I train dogs, and this is my new dog, Inertia. I'm taking you along as I train her from day one. You can start from the beginning or pick up anywhere and start learning. Welcome to the dog training experience. In today's episode, I'll continue to try to get Inertia
The
to pay
on-the-counter
attention in
stuff.
chaotic
Stop
environments.
letting your
And
dog
will
on
this
the
be
counter.
time that Inertia actually catches a frisbee in the air after months of trying. I've noticed over the last couple of weeks that Inertia has started being really curious about things on the counter, and she's been counter surfing. That's where your dog jumps up on the counter to investigate and see what's there, sometimes steal things.
Well,
I think it's important to be proactive, and I've set up
He basically
a training
asked
drill
her to
right
do it.
here to really mimic real-life distractions. Yeah, we've got a frisbee, which I'm delighted to say is getting a little bit of
Look at all this stuff that you could buy from this cool program.
Yeah.
These beef tendons from Pupford. She really loves these. I'll have a link to these great shoes from Pupford, as well as a link to my free digital dog training course, 30 her before she jumps. But for science's sake, let's just let her in here and see what happens naturally. So I'm just minding my own business, and she immediately jumps up there. See, this is what I'm talking about. She's like, that's cool stuff.
Counter surfing caused by positive reinforcement.
To understand that her default behavior should be not jumping up on the counter and stealing stuff. That would be my preference, but her default behavior right now, when in this situation, is just to jump up there, so I have to work on this. We have been starting off-leash training in certain parts of the house, just not so much in the kitchen yet.
And again, for whether it's for video purposes or not, this is your personal dog, dude, right? And you're just sitting there filming this video, just letting the dog get away with all of this.
Toys, now she's on this table over here. You can see how this could become a serious issue right now, and I'm letting her get away with this just to show you what she's like naturally. I think it's time to teach her that she is not to just jump up here and take things whenever she wants. The way I like to approach training like this is just to let her know everything's up here, but be a little close to her at first. Remember, the closer you are to your dog, the more likely they are to listen to you. My goal is to preempt her from jumping, so when I see it in her eyes that she's thinking about jumping, or well before, good job, see right there, sit, yes, good job. You can't jump up here, Inertia.
Speaking of your dog in full sentences.
Yeah.
I want to be real purposeful, make it extra tempting. Yes. So you'll want to dedicate a few seconds.
So you haven't, right? So like all that's happening right now is you're distracting the dog from the stuff on the counter. But here's the thing, right? Where do people typically struggle with counter surfing? when you're not in the freaking room with
Yeah.
them. Right? And the fact that this dog is doing it when he is in the room with them, bro, when you're not there, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
When you're not there to distract the dog with additional rewards, what are you going to do?
Things like we're doing right here that are artificial in nature before you expect your dog to organically pay attention. However, doing these types of training sessions will give you traction when the real life versions of this occur. Yeah, what's that? See that? I'm gonna put it right here. Leave it alone. Good. Oh, wow. Leave it. Here.
See?
Inertia, leave.
Again, you see right there, right? Competing motivators. Those toys are more motivating to this dog than that food.
Yeah.
Come here. Sit, please.
Which is why the dog's literally not looking at him nor that treat. The dog is looking at those toys because it wants those as the reward, right?
Look at me. Good. Do you see how many things come?
The dog did not even look at him. He said, look at me. The dog looked for half a second, went back to the toys, then he just put the food in front of the dog's
back
face.
to the leave it, look at me combo. Like, stop paying attention to that. Pay attention to me instead so that I can.
You get into like, you know, we talk about bribing a lot, right? And like at this point, like you're just begging your dog. Like you look like such a fucking idiot in your dog's eyes, you know?
Yeah.
Like why is it so bad to like require respect out of your dog? You know what I mean? Like why is it so bad for me to say like some of this stuff is just not fucking optional, right?
Yeah.
Some of this stuff you just have to do or have to not do. There's not always going to be something in it for you, right? There are things I have to do on a day-to-day basis that don't give me pleasure to do, right? They're not the most satisfying things to do, but I know that I have to do them, right?
Yeah.
And that's a part of building internal kind of confidence, confidence in myself, confidence in, you know, knowing that some of those things that I do are for the better enjoyment of the rest of my life. And in dogs' cases, it's the same way, right? A lot of this kind of like respect that we look at that we need to achieve with our dogs really comes from the idea that if I can get you to respect me in some of these situations and know that there's some things you just absolutely cannot do, you'll be able to do more and live a better, longer, happier life with me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's what this stuff comes down to.
I mean, and isn't it like a really unfair thing that he's doing too? Like he was taking
Teasing
the
the
ball.
dog and putting it up.
Yeah, like that. I feel like that's not setting your dog up for success at all. It's you're literally like, come on, do it.
You're not accomplishing anything with it.
Yeah.
Give you proper direction. Good job. You're doing great. So this is a pretty successful training session here.
2 seconds ago.
Success.
It wasn't.
Success.
Settle. Good. So that's nice. A settle on cue. And the
Also, what is settle? Is settle down now?
Yeah,
Like,
I
what are
guess,
we?
yeah.
What are these words we're using?
sense of something that's distracting. You can see how a lot of repetition is going to be necessary here. This is far from fixed. It looks like she's trying really hard. So I think it's important that we acknowledge that. Let's see what she's likely to do if I put something more tempting. Okay, well,
Jump
that's
on
what
the
she's
counter.
likely to do. Leave it alone. Good job. In general, if your dog makes it onto the counter, you're too late. So be a bit quicker and anticipate a bit better. Most dogs will foreshadow when they're about to jump on the counter. We've been in a frisbee.
Did not work
He's
out
like,
at all.
we'll end this on, this on that.
Yeah, that's where he ends it? Are you kidding me? Well, we didn't get anything done, but you get the idea.
You know, again, you get to this concept over time will help you get to this goal. Yeah. Right? Unbelievable. I can't even handle this. All right, we're done with this guy. I don't want to watch any more of his videos.
You can't take that seriously.
It's just, again, you get into, there's reasons why we do some of the things that we do.
Yeah.
Right? There's reasons why we do some of the things that are perceived as mean.
Yeah.
You know, some people are like, oh, you would punish the dog for that. Wow, look how half a second after you corrected the dog for trying to steal your pot roast off of the table. Well, they're no longer trying to steal a pot roast off the table, and they probably won't try to do so again. But look, 2 seconds later, they're in another room. They don't like you anymore. No, they're mad they got a consequence for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, listen, when I was a kid, I got in trouble for all sorts of shit, right? I was a little asshole when I was a kid, right? As I'm sure all of you could probably imagine, right? So I used to get in trouble for all sorts of different things. And here's the thing, right? If I would get corrected for something, if my parents would be like, hey, you're fucking grounded for a week for that.
Yeah.
Like, you shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
You better believe I pouted for a little bit. I probably pouted a lot longer than these dogs pout after they get corrections.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, I don't know. You know, this is where you get into, we were talking about before we started the podcast, some idiot that was messaging us on Instagram that, you know, pretended to be a potential client to ask what our qualifications were and our certifications were.
Yeah.
And as I started sending replies back to it, she basically exposed herself as she was just trying to like, I don't even know what she was trying to accomplish, honestly.
Yeah.
She's trying to accomplish something by saying, oh, see, since you don't have these things, like, you're not a real trainer. But guess what, right? You know what we have? Hundreds of reviews, hundreds of videos showing how we could actually work through these things, actual qualifications that we know what we're doing, and video evidence of it. And I can tell you, none of these people have that.
No.
You know, so I don't know. You know, this is partially fun for the sake of like us just being able to go through and watch some of these videos and just be like, Jesus, because like us as trainers, like when we see stuff like this, it truly is like mind-boggling to us at times.
Oh yeah.
You know. But part of it just has to do with like, we're trying to actually educate through that fun stuff, right? We want people to see and understand from a trainer who actually knows how to work through these kinds of things, why this stuff is so bad to be this popular. You know what I mean?
I know. That's what scares me.
Yeah.
There's 3.41.
3.4 million people think this is good dog training, right? And it's not their fault. They don't know any better. You know, if I were looking for dog training tips online, like I would probably look for the most followed person as well if I didn't know anything about dog training, right?
Yeah.
But it's just so faulty.
Yeah.
It's just so incorrect. So, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that guy's something else. We'll leave it at that.
All right. So we're probably going to wrap this up here. Got into a couple Zak George videos.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Josh, got anything you want to add before we end this?
I hope I never hear that man's name again. He's goofy.
Zachary George.
Yeah, but I mean it's just a shining example of he really has no control over these dogs. He kind of like puppeteers them to do things, but if there was an actual high intensity situation or something they want, he's not stopping them.
You could create some really, really, really cool looking videos out of nothing.
Yeah.
That's all that this is proof of.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? And again, this is why we're doing the vlog. They're not all these highly edited, cut together videos.
Yeah.
It's real life behind the scenes of what we're doing.
Real life page.
So, I don't know.
No, look at me.
Anything else you want to add?
No, that is it.
Keep doing more of this. This is cool.
Yeah.
This is new. It's exciting. It's fresh.
Yeah. Well, I think there maybe just a couple times we got to make sure that for our listeners we're talking about what's going on. But you know, this is our first go around with the TV.
First time with the TV. I think it's cool. There's a vibe in here.
Yeah.
There's a vibe.
Yep.
All right.
So,
what? Because of the lighting. Thank you,
because
Paige.
of Paige. Yep. You can find me on Instagram at Josh DeBay Productions. Yeah.
Catch us on the gram at Davidthedogtrainer or Miracle Canine Training or miracleCanineTraining.com or youtube.com/Miracle Canine Training. We're vloggers now. That's it.
Vlogger.
We're going to end on that.
Okay.
Peace
Have a
out.
good one.